Hello, I'm Ozempic.
And I'm other GLP-1s, kind of like him. Hey, are you shaking a maraca?
No, I'm shaking the pill version of Ozempic, which no one should ever do except in ads like this.
A nice disclaimer.
Hey, thanks. Ask your doctor about which FDA-approved uses of the Ozempic pen or pill may be right for you. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and learn more about Ozempic semaglutide tablets, 9 milligrams, and Ozempic semaglutide injection, 2 milligrams.
There's a pill version of Ozempic.
For adults with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms, every choice matters. Tremfya offers self-injection or intravenous infusion from the start. Tremfya is administered as injections under the skin or infusions through a vein every 4 weeks, followed by injections under the skin every 4 or 8 weeks. If your doctor decides that you can self-inject Tremfya, proper training is required. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions, increased risk of infections or lower ability to fight them, and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or need a vaccine. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
To get the Crime Writers on Aftershow right now, go to patreon.com/partners in crime media.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie, and this is Crime Writers On. Crime Writers On is the original true crime review podcast that digs into true crime, pop culture, other podcasts. And on this episode, it was the hit DIY podcast that became the definitive telling of the crime of the decade. It was a true crime sensation, but wasn't any good. We'll go back to our spicy discussion of Murdaugh Murders. Joining me to get that done and more is true crime author, TV journalist, and host of These Are Their Stories podcast, my husband and the love of my life. It's Kevin Flynn. Hello, Kevin.
Are you sure it's not Murdaugh Murders?
No, it's Murdaugh.
Murdaugh, no.
Murdaugh Murders.
Alec,
yeah. So, Kevin, what are we listening to today? Let's go ahead and fill me in.
Yeah, we're going back to the October 18th, 2021 review of the legendary podcast recorded at Mandy Matney's kitchen table. It is the Murdaugh Murders.
Murdaugh Murders. Let's go ahead and give this one a listen. Moving on.
I don't know who killed Paul Murdaugh. I don't know who killed Maggie Murdaugh. I can't say who killed Stephen Smith. I don't know who, if anyone, killed Gloria Satterfield. But I think I know who killed Mallory Beach.
They were a powerful family who controlled the legal community in South Carolina's Low Country. But after the double slaying of two of its members, new scrutiny was paid to the Murdaughs' past involvement in a series of deaths, including the trip and fall of a housekeeper, a fatal boating accident, and the unsolved death of a classmate originally classified as a hit and run.
At no point does anyone in any of these reports mention the possibility that he was beaten to death or struck by an object like a baseball bat, and then they would search for evidence for such things.
Host Mandy Matney continually uncovered new indications of embezzlement, insurance fraud, malpractice, and obstruction of justice. Then an unexpected twist in real time threw the story into confusion.
But then yesterday, my news outlet, fitsnews.com, broke a huge story in this saga. Alec Murdaugh was shot on a rural road in Hampton County, South Carolina.
Murdaugh Murders is a unique example of an amateur podcast produced by a professional journalist. Matney's reporting leads the way on the complicated and sensational case. But does the production's rookie mistakes create an insurmountable barrier for the listener? Now, spoiler alert, we are going to be talking about plot points from Murdaugh Murders. So if you want to remain spoiler-free, go to the estimated time code in our show notes to hear our thumbs up or thumbs down reviews. So a couple of things, Kevin, that I want to get out of the way.
Yeah.
One, there was news that broke right before we started recording this podcast about this case.
Means there'll probably be a new episode out very soon, if not already. Yeah.
Yes, there will. And that is that Alec Murdaugh has been charged in a couple of the big crimes that Mandy Matney actually outlined in the Murdaugh Murders podcast. Second, we do have to talk about, just get it out way up front, that we talk about production and quality and tracking and mixing and amateur versus professional and sound design and all that stuff a lot, and levels in this podcast a lot.
Well, no, we've never had to talk about amateur versus professional.
We have.
No, we've never had an amateur. By amateur, I mean
Actually amateur.
by literally one person with no resources, no backing, doing it from their kitchen table.
Right.
Which is fine. If this were Wondery, we would shit on this all day long for the production and style mistakes and whatnot.
That being said,
this
is not 2014, and there are aspects of this podcast that make me feel like I'm listening to a podcast in 2014. That being said, so let's just get it on the table. This podcast sounds like we were talking about a podcast made in 2014 in many ways. It's as if the makers have not, in many ways. And by the way, I suspect that Mandy might listen to this review only because I know that they are media conscious folks who read their reviews. And we have many things to say. I've read your notes about this podcast, and I will tell you straight up front, there are many things I love about this podcast. I'm just going to say it right now. But I just want to get it out of the way because I know people are saying it. This podcast sounds terrible in many, many ways. Let's just get it out front.
The production values are very poor.
There are some times where there's tape in this podcast that's only in the right channel.
Oh my God.
So if you're listening on your left headphone only, which many people do, you cannot hear the podcast at all.
Or if you're like me in the car, you keep leaning over to the passenger side because you couldn't.
It's impossible.
Right.
Yes, it's like you're trolling us.
Yes.
Bro, you fucking smiling like it's fucking funny. My fucking girl.
There are breaths that they're completely cut out. There are parts where there's retracking happening in the middle of sentences. I don't care about dogs barking. That's bullshit. And Mandy, by the way, vocal fry is a bullshit complaint. It doesn't exist.
Agreed.
No one cares about the way you talk. And if they do not fucking listen to them. That doesn't matter. Oh, and by the way, never say someone lights up a room. Just don't write that. Anyway, so
it's cliche.
We're just going to put all that aside because we know that that's true. So that is not going to be the substance of what we're going to talk about. Can we all just agree?
Other than, I will give credit to her fiance for like just going for it and doing it.
Yes.
Even though, like, having spent time doing it, it's a pain.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time.
Yes.
But
does it also not sound like...
He didn't do a great job, but I give him credit for giving it a shot.
But doesn't it also sound like they haven't actually listened to a podcast before sometimes?
They've never listened to a podcast, as far as I can tell. Yeah.
And also maybe the Twitter thing. But anyway, okay. So let's put all of that aside. We're not talking about that. We are talking about the substance and the reporting of the podcast, and we're talking about the case because that is why we are here.
But one more thing, though, before because you're right, but because it's not insignificant. When you have unresourced journalism, the journalism suffers because the presentation is part of the journalism.
True.
And that's different from her news gathering because her news gathering is very good.
It's excellent.
Right. And she's just saying it. It's just me at the kitchen table. And so we're going to grade on a scale here. But the news gathering is very good. If there were an editor there, I might say, hey, maybe not so much with complaining about shit in the podcast.
Oh, take it out.
Yeah. You know, it's like...
Don't talk about the reviews.
Don't talk about the reviews. Fine. You know, you don't have to...
We know you have a fiance.
Whenever you have a fiance, you want to take a swipe at your soulless corporate former employer.
Oh.
It's like, you don't need to work shit out.
But do, by the way, talk about your fiance's charity events because I fucking love that shit.
Great.
That was great.
And maybe a little less editorializing about what doesn't look good, and so we don't need that.
Yeah.
But the reason why we're even talking about this at all is because the story that she's put together is so compelling.
And she knows more about it than anyone.
It overcomes all of this.
Right.
It overcomes all of this garbage. Okay. This is the best bad podcast I've ever heard.
Right. But can we talk about the things that we love?
I still yell at things while I'm walking down the street. But yes, we can talk about things we love. Like, I can relate to when you are that local journalist and you have been following a story like she has for as long as she has been following it. She's basically, what she's doing is she's just like sitting down at her kitchen table and she is just basically like, I don't want this to sound, it sounds the wrong way when I describe it, but like vomiting out all the information and all the reporting that she has done. And so honestly, for me, the reason that does work is because this case is so freaking bonkers. Like, my friend has been sending me, like, I know y'all love the Daily Mail, all the stories, everything. My other friend's been sending me the New York Times. My minister and I talk about this at breakfast when we go out. Everybody wants to know every detail of this case. So when she just like throws everything out at the wall that she's gotten, including listening to like an entire 911 call, it gives me the opportunity as the person that's listening to sort of draw my own conclusions about the people involved with this, because I'm listening to all the raw material that she's listening to, because it's not really edited. It's just like, here's all the material, we're going to throw it in there. But that gives us the opportunity to listen to everything that's out there.
Yeah. Well, I'll say, like, that is charming, and it works here because of the format. And when I was saying the things about the fiance's charity events, I wasn't actually joking, because in the context of that, it also works. And this is not a diss, because we're moving away from talking about what's bad about the format to talking about what's good about the format, because it does in many places sound like the kitchen table conversation she's having about the case, which, you know, I've been in many like rooms of people pitching podcasts where it's like, I want to hear the conversation that journalists have about the case that they're working on, that they really have at the bar, at the kitchen table. And I'm like, okay, this is literally the conversation that a journalist is having at their kitchen table about the work. But then they're also like, it's very clear that her fiance is making this. And I literally I went to Kevin in the middle of listening to this. I was like, I think we need to try to place an ad on this podcast, because
Yeah.
like I want to have our ad be next to this polo event, because this podcast is about this community. Like she's not just talking about the case, she's talking about the community, and she's describing, when she describes the people in this case, she's also describing the community where she lives. Like that's a vibe that you get, right?
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing kind of feels like one of those found footage movies, you know,
like
where
you
you're kind of
punked?
like, no, but just, I don't know. It's like, it's a window into this place and these people, and, you know, even like the ads, like add to it, you know? So I feel like it's very evocative in that way. I feel like you guys, where it is, it's like compulsively listenable, in that you're just like, oh, what kind of crazy shit's about to happen next? And you know that she's like on the ground, and, you know, she's going to know. She does a fair amount of editorializing. And I think there's some choices that get made that I'm interested in hearing what you guys think about. But for the most part, there's so much information in each one of these episodes. And at times it's just like, wait, who is that again? But you do feel like, I don't know, it does feel like you're on the ground with the person who's doing the digging, and she lets you know that that's what's going on. But I can sort of picture this thing where she's like, I'm on top of this huge, interesting story everybody's going to be interested in. I work for this local newspaper. How do I get this out there? And thinking, you know, podcasts are big. True crime podcasts are huge. This is going to be like this huge, fascinating story. I'll just make a podcast. And so what they've done is sort of make this data dump podcast, and it works to a certain extent. But it's interesting to hear Kevin say he was listening to it while driving. I was listening to it while driving. About 2/3 of the tape is absolutely unintelligible when you're in a car.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that includes like when they start slowing people's voices down to disguise them.
Oh, yeah.
And then they've got pretty strong accents, and it's going slow.
Yes.
And it's just like, what in God's name is going on there?
You know what I'm saying? Buster Murdaugh, the one we went to school with, did it, and some of his friends, and I'm just sitting here like, why? You know, it makes no sense. He's never said anything bad about Steven. He's never been around Steven.
So I eventually just gave up, and I was just like, okay, just context clues. Because she doesn't repeat, like, occasionally she'll say, well, so what you heard right there was this. But a lot of times she doesn't. She just keeps on going.
Right.
And I was like, just for the people in the cars, can you just say, just to be clear, that dude just said, I ran into a bridge at 25 miles an hour or something.
It's where an editor would help.
There's one other problem with the disguised voices in the podcast. And one is that she says, this person doesn't want to be identified. They disguise the voice, and then they tell you it's a woman and who that person is related to. So it's like, okay, so maybe like don't include those details. We're going to say, but I will tell you. So this is something that was a phenomenon of this podcast. First of all, I will say I listened to all 12 episodes in one listen in one day, which I have never done for
oh my God.
any podcast. So I knew I had to listen to 12 episodes, and I was like, oh my.
They're reasonably timed to the, there's some that are 15 minutes,
but some of them
20,
are 40 minutes.
Yeah, right.
And I did not listen to them at 1.5 speed. I listened to the whole, because I could not stop. And I'm being completely earnest.
You got a lot done in the kitchen that day.
I did,
yeah.
but I am being earnest. I am not, and I did not hate listen. I mean, maybe I hate listen to the first 3 because they were just like, I feel like I may be being punked a little bit. And that was the joke I made earlier, was I was like, is this podcast like pretending like they don't know how to podcast? Because it really felt that way. Because it was, especially with the twitter.com/Mandy Matney. That thing was so funny. But,
do you even know how Twitter works?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was compelling. And I will say, what got me was someone doesn't know about this case when they say Alex Murdaugh. And I was like, fuck yeah. I know how that feels.
What did Lester Holt say tonight?
We were watching the NBC Nightly News tonight when the charges came down, and Lester Holt said, prominent South Carolina lawyer Alex Murdaugh. And I screamed at the TV.
That's heads one of a national newscast.
Alec Murdaugh, you piece of shit. Lester Holt, like, you should know that. And I was like, oh my God, like, I have joined the cult of Mandy Matney. Like, she's not wrong. Like, they should fucking...
I don't know, man. Half the people she talks to call him Alex, or they talk about the Murdaugh boys. I was like, hold on a second.
But that's the whole thing.
Half these people are talking from South Carolina are calling them by the wrong thing.
So Toby, this is what I said to Kevin, like, after episode 5. I'm like, you know what? I've come to realize I don't know what Fitz News is. I don't know if any of this stuff is true. I don't know. But I believe her. I believe her. Like, I believe her. And then what made me believe her the most was the further you get in, and then you get to the case with the nanny.
Oh, that's horrible.
And then she's talking to that lawyer with that case. That came to fruition, and it's true. And her reporting was right. Her reporting is completely fucking solid. So, like, all the dumb stuff, it, like, completely has veracity to me now. And now I'm fucking yelling at Lester Holt on my TV.
So let me ask you this. As journalistic practice is devoting basically an entire episode to listening to a lawyer for one side of a legal argument and presenting that as the truth. Is that kosher?
You can add up all my cases. I've sued over 175 lawyers and law firms. You can add them all up, and it doesn't equal what's going on here. Because this is top to bottom. This is, judges, lawyers, money, everything. Lying, you name it.
We already know that the Murdaughs.
Murdaugh. Toby.
Jesus, now I don't even know what I'm saying.
It's like Murdaugh. It's Murdaugh.
Yeah, the Murdaughs, Alec Murdaugh, or whatever the fuck he pronounces.
Murdaugh.
Alec Murdaugh.
No, it's Alec. She says Alec because of her accent, but it's Alec. It's Alec Murdaugh. Go ahead.
So, like, one of the episodes is basically her letting a lawyer for one side of a case, like, lay out the case while she's like, yup. And it drives me crazy because at the end I was like, I still don't think I totally understand this. It would have been a lot easier if you just told me. But is that kosher? Because when I was done, I was like, I don't know. This seems a little weird that this is news.
Let's ignore the fact that he ended up getting charged for all of that, so that
it was right.
It was correct.
Well, maybe. I mean, it's just charged.
The problem is that, you're right that it could be presented in a different way with a little more of her, either, providing context, breaking up so it's not big chunks of him talking. It would be ideal to, as you say, have other sources on tape telling the same story, backing it up, or if the Murdaugh family, if they wanted to, and I believe that they've declined to comment, to put it in there. The problem is, it doesn't matter because it was such a great story. It's sort of the curse of this podcast.
Yeah,
you're doing it wrong, but I want more.
This case is fucking bonkers, though, because, like, just when you think you know it all, you're like, oh, now there's something new. And it's like a little bit True Detective-y. Like, Toby, were you surprised when you found out how far the dog kennels were from the house?
4 football fields?
I was like...
No, it was 8. It was 8 football fields. I was like, whoa, like
how far is a football field?
But I just had this image in my head when I heard that of like this, like it just seemed to me like even darker in terms of the way that the wife and son were killed.
Laura, how many times in this podcast I just did a panel, right, about ethics in true crime podcasting. Mm-hmm. One of the questions was, what is the biggest red flag that you should know when a true crime podcast is unethical? My first answer I gave, it was like, what are the 3 red flags? The first thing I said was when the podcast plays the entire 911 call. This podcast has played so many 911 calls.
That's unethical?
Well, because so many unethical podcasts have done that. Like Sword and Scale
you're not saying
does
that makes it unethical. You're
I'm saying that
unethical
is a red
ones do that.
flag
Okay.
that many unethical podcasts do that.
Okay,
right?
So
They play sensational. This podcast has used 911 calls. I will say the strongest parts of this podcast have been the way that they have used 911 calls to illustrate stuff. Body cam stuff. I'm sorry. The horrible audio, the right channel only audio.
It was actually the best audio.
Of the kid calling his mom. Like, I'm sorry. I want to volunteer my services. Like, please, Mandy and your fiance, send me that audio file. I will center channel it for you so that people listening with one headphone can hear it, like, and not completely have to go blank. I'll center channel it for you. That is the best fucking audio I've heard in a podcast in a very long time.
And look, that's when the series actually starts to take off. About the 4th or 5th episode.
Oh my God. Incredible episode.
We're already we're already used to the fact that the audio's all over the place and it's too low. We're already there. Now that we kind of have been primed for who the players are, and we already knew about this accident, when we get into all the descriptions that come from videos and the reports that are now out, it ends up being really rich. Things keep happening in real time. It's information that comes out about past things. Those episodes get really great, and then almost in the middle of it, the patriarch of the family gets shot.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
Or he seems to get shot.
There's so many questions about that scene.
Yeah.
So many questions. First of all, we have the 911 call where we have Alec calling to report that he's found the body of his wife and his son. And he sounds just absolutely like you can sense like the horror and the panic and everything that's happening to him all at once. But then you also pick up on, as she's listening to it, and again, this is sort of like that real-time reporting, that he's like walking around and he's like walking around and doing things at this point while he's on the phone call. So that was very interesting. But I do think what you guys were saying, Kevin and Rebecca, that the strongest tape for me was that tape. And I was like walking along Swayze Parkway listening to this, and I was like, I had to stop and turn it up because I was like, shit, I'm hearing it in one ear. But you almost feel a little voyeuristic because you have this window into such a moment of raw emotion in that tape with the boyfriend whose girlfriend is missing and they can't find her. And he's blaming the son, the Murdaugh son. But you hear like such an authentic emotion in the moment that I think that is the strength of playing that whole tape. And then, hearing him call his mom and finding out later that, she's a police officer.
We hit a bridge in the boat. Connor's fucked up. Connor's messed up bad. We can't find Mallory. Morgan's messed up bad. We can't find Mallory, Mom.
Hearing all that tape and hearing how obvious it was what was happening, and then finding out that the police investigator didn't include any of the real details in the police report, you're like, holy shit, I need those crime writers on leggings because I'm going to be rage walking to like Florida at the point that I'm at right now. You know what I mean?
Hearing that kid say to Paul Murdaugh, you think this is funny? Like like that was incredible. It was an incredible tape. Even though if I only had my left earphone on, I wouldn't have been able to hear it. So, Kevin, can you just talk about the detail that hasn't been mentioned yet about the insurance company thing that you pointed out in your notes?
Yeah, so after the developments about the homicide and then the self-inflicted, self-financed gunshot to the head, a lot happens in the case about the slip and fall of the housekeeper and nanny. What we had heard before was that in the boating case, and by the way, not to speak ill of the dead, but that kid sounded like a real piece of shit, right?
Yeah, on tape.
On tape.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, I'm going to drive the boat naked and tell everybody, fuck off, and then crash into a bridge. That the insurance company wasn't going to cover the Murdaughs for that boating accident. And that was all coming to a head at the time in the court system. And certainly we think, we assume that the insurance company's not going to pay because their clients seem to have acted recklessly and probably, it's not something they're going to cover. But what we find out now is that he successfully sued or was part of a lawsuit against his own insurance company to pay. They got like $3 million already.
Yes.
So the insurance company might be like, fuck you on a second claim.
Yes.
Right, which we didn't really know about. So I don't know.
He's very good at insurance fraud.
This is why it's such a fascinating case. How does this all play together? I actually thought that the insurance scam, I thought that was actually more interesting than the double homicide at it was told so well.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's so many great things about this story that just draw in.
We've yet to hear more about Buster Murdaugh, who apparently seems to be a looming figure in this.
Yeah, and how he's connected to the Stephen Smith thing.
The Stephen Smith death. I think that's also looming. Toby, you mentioned something that I really love about the podcast too, which is the framing of every single episode. The open to every single episode is very strong, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the one thing that they, from just like a podcasting standpoint, they get completely right is everyone starts with, I know who killed so-and-so, and I'm going to tell you about this, that, and the other thing. Or I don't know who killed this, but when I hear about this, it makes my blood boil, And so it's like you get this like sort of preview about what's coming. And it's very effective, partly because it's not conventionally organized, I would say. So I think having these cues at the beginning are helpful. They bounce around between stories like crazy. It's like, okay, now we're going to talk about Steve, how Steve died. Now we're going to talk about the boat crash. Now we're going to talk about the double homicide. Now we're back to Steve.
Is that better than like mixing all of those characters in one episode?
No, I mean, I think
I like it. I honestly like the back and forth.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. It's just sort of unconventional. I can't imagine what it would have been like to start at the beginning and just listen to every week, like week after week, like binging it. Like it was only like 40 minutes later, I'd be back on whatever I just left off. If you were waiting like 3 weeks in between some of these things, it was probably a slightly different situation. I mean, I don't mean to be overly critical. I mean, there's just, there's just so much information in each one of these episodes. It's pretty wild.
So, Kevin.
Yes.
Did you think this was a high-quality true crime show?
Yeah, but not as high a quality as our items from Quince that we always get.
Nothing is.
I want to start by just thanking Quince for supporting us for many, many years. We were with you when people called you Quince.
Yes, or
we never did.
Quince.
Exactly.
That was a real thing.
Yeah, well, we have been great partners with Quince for so long. As a matter of fact, because Rebecca loves the items that Quince has so much, we are net negative with our relationship with Quince because Rebecca continues to buy all of these quality items. Rebecca, right now, as a matter of fact, you are clothed head to toe in Quince. What do you got on?
I'm wearing this like cotton chunky cardigan from Quince. It's like this cobalt blue color or cerulean, as they would say in Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things I have bought from Quince in the last 8 months are these super soft fleece cropped wide leg pants. I have a white pair and a black pair, and every time I wear them, especially the white pair,
great. They feel like
Guess how much these incredible pants cost?
No idea.
$42.
Oh my god.
I love these
Quince
pants.
for you.
They're incredible.
Everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands, and they work directly with ethical factories to cut out the middleman. So you're paying for high quality, not brand markup.
So be like me. Upgrade your everyday. Go to quince.com/crime for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too.
You speak English there.
That's quince.com/crime for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/crime.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
It's almost Labor Day, so fill the longer nights with perfect sleep night after night. Save up to $800 on Serta Perfect Sleeper X mattresses and adjustable base sets with a Q4 support system that helps relieve aches and back pain. Visit Serta.com to find a retailer near you.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find a pro for your project at Angie.com.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about. Like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
I'm really tired because doing a true crime review podcast is exhausting. So I think we should do what we do. Let's let our listeners know, should they check out the Murdaugh Murders podcast?
Or have a mimosa.
Listen, we're revolutionizing journalism here. Laura Bricker, what do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down for the Murdaugh Murders podcast? This is very different than pretty much everything else we review, and I think many of our listeners might be surprised, A, that we're reviewing it, and B, at the level of discourse that we've had around it.
Oh,
so, Laura,
no. On Facebook, they're clamoring for us to talk about this.
I think, yeah, they are.
They all say the same thing.
Laura Bricker, what do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down for the Murdaugh Murders?
Yeah, so this is interesting. I'm going to say, Rebecca, just a quick aside before I do my review. Thank God you have those leggings on so that now that you're so exhausted, you can take a good relaxing little sleep.
They're very buttery.
A little rest. You can put your feet up. So this podcast is like, when I was listening to it, I was like, oh my God, because I was getting frustrated with like the audio levels were going up and down and I had to keep adjusting, and like I was getting frustrated with like hearing about the excellent fiance all the time. I'm like, can he really be that excellent? No, I'm just kidding. But then the thing is, this is the hard thing about this podcast, is that the production is all over the place. The narrative structure is not like, you know, when we review podcasts, we would like rip something like this apart. However, I am so freaking fascinated by this Murdaugh case. And there are so many tentacles to this case and so many places that this case goes. And this podcast, because she's the local reporter on the ground who's been reporting on this for 2 years, has all the information. So if you are really interested in this case and you want to listen to the entire 911 call, interviews with people, and know sort of the story of how everybody's connected, this is something that you're going to listen to. But you have to sort of temper that with the feeling of listening to it and being extremely frustrated by certain parts of the production. But I feel like she's very earnest, and I feel like she's a good reporter, and I feel like she's getting good material. So on that regard, I would say thumbs up on production. I mean, I think she probably even knows that, so I don't need to go there.
Toby Ball.
Yeah, I mean, this is a hard one in some ways because, you know, in the last month, we've reviewed, I think, two of the strongest podcasts, both in terms of reporting and, you know, just even moving aside, just like sound and how it sounds, but just editorially, like just great editorial choices in the way the story is told and just really making the most of the podcast medium in a way that this one doesn't even try, right? I mean, it's not, there's nothing about podcasting that this thing takes advantage of. It's just a way to get the story out to a bunch of people. I mean, she's basically just talking and there's some tape. At the same time, like, as we've been saying the whole time, it's like, it's a fascinating case. she's all over it. I'll give it a thumbs up. There's just no craft to it, right? There's no craft. It's all reporting. It's all reporting and having obtained audio that's very revealing. So it's just putting those two things together in about as simple a format as possible. But the stuff that she's got is amazing. So thumbs up. I think it is sort of compulsively listenable. I was going to say guilty pleasure, but that's just not right. I don't feel like it's a guilty pleasure because I think the journalism is really strong. And I think guilty pleasure is doing that a disservice. So I'll give it a thumbs up. I mean, it's very, very different, but the case is just wild, and she's got the goods on it.
Kevin Flynn.
This is the most cringeworthy, binge-worthy podcast ever made.
Oh, my heart is exploding.
The production values are, you said, horrible, but the reporting is so compelling. The information is ahead of everybody else's, and the story just keeps taking these twists and turns that it's just impossible to not want to know what's next. We've reviewed this podcast. We're essentially done with it. I want to hear the next episode, even though I'm no longer obligated to listen to it, right? I think that this podcast could have shared a lot of its DNA with something like Undisclosed, which is a very sort of straightforward, we're talking about this investigation, but in addition to, using nice mics and all sorts of nice audio tricks, there's a little bit of music in the background, a little higher production value, right? If you have a news website, the news might be great, but if the website itself looks bad and doesn't work, that's a problem. You might have a great newspaper, but if the ink is all smudged and the paper rips when you pick it up, that's not a good thing. Toby's right. There's not a lot of craft to this. And I think that they know that. And I guess it's not too late to take some of the ad money and to have somebody remaster.
No, don't do it.
This. How about just balance the levels so it's
just
the same
left, right
as
channel
okay.
thing.
All right, whatever. I think it continued. Actually, the last podcast, the production value was probably the best it has been. It's moving along. We normally would have really slayed this if it had been done by anybody else besides a local reporter, admittedly doing this on a laptop at their kitchen table with their fiance, who's not an audio engineer. But it's just something that I think you have to hear. And so that's why I can't believe it, but I'm saying thumbs up.
Okay, so I think a lot of people in our Facebook group are going to be shocked that we're giving this 4 thumbs up. I'm giving the Murdaugh Murders a huge fucking thumbs up, and here's why. It is objectively a 1 and subjectively a 10, right? So this is the first podcast I have listened to where in the 10 minutes into episode 1, I'm like, this is going to be a Netflix series. And the Netflix series is not going to be about the case. The Netflix series is going to be about the podcaster covering the case. And it is going to be a great Netflix series because basically it's going to be like Bradley Jackson on the morning show, except it's actually going to be good and fleshed out and awesome.
Oh, by the way, fuck that guy for saying that thing about her in court.
Yeah.
That lawyer,
oh my
that
fucking
sexist
God.
thing. Before I forget, fuck that guy.
Oh, yeah. Because basically we have here a local reporter who had like some probably shitty, low-paying job at some Gannett or Hearst paper or whatever.
It was a soulless corporation.
Yeah, whatever, Gannett or whatever. And then, and she got another job at like some other low-paying local outlet, but that she enjoys. I don't actually think that she has listened to many podcasts, nor do I think her fiance has. It is like they are in 2014 starting a podcast, except it's 2021. And that is, for lack of a better word, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound condescending. I don't mean it that way. It's adorable. And I feel like I'm being punked. I thought when I was listening to the beginning of this podcast, I'm like, am I being punked? But then I'm like, no, this is absurd to the level where it's high art, but I am learning a lot. I learned so much about this case in this horribly produced podcast. I cannot remember a podcast where I have learned so much about a real-time news event. I mean, I've learned more about this than I've learned like from the Daily about a real-time news event. I honestly can say that. Like, I want to advertise in this podcast. I want to go to her fiance's polo charity events. I want to sign up for that like lunch that you can go to with them. I want to watch the Netflix series. I want to know what's happening in this case. I want to yell at Lester Holt.
You did already.
The help that I want to give them, honestly, is the left channel, right channel stuff. I don't care if the podcast remains bad production-wise, except for that one thing. I have to give the Murdaugh Murders a thumbs up, despite the fact that it is objectively terrible, because in every other regard, I gotta say it's great. It's awful, but great. Big thumbs up for me for the Murdaugh Murders. What else can I say?
Okay, so Rebecca, you gave hot takes earlier about Mandy Matney, and what do you think of her success?
Well, Kevin, it's a complicated story.
Let's
leave
story.
it there. I mean, she's definitely, this podcast put her on the map. Obviously, she was able to help adapt it into the Hulu TV series and all that stuff. Lately, though, she has been kind of running into some issues with ethics and court, and those two things potentially overlapping in a weird way. She was recently assessed a big fine in a case that was related to the Murdaugh Murders case, tangentially. But for this podcast, certainly it put this story on the map, and the production values, as funny as they were, kind of didn't matter.
Well, I mean, do you think that that's in the end, is that this is the takeaway, is that the reporting can overcome bad production, or does bad production just undercut good reporting?
In this case, I think that bad production actually kind of helped. I'm going to be really honest with you. I still think that to this day.
Okay.
All right. Well, this show was recorded in the Caitlin Rogers Project Studio, also known as Studio C, The Closet, in a New Hampshire basement where we, very soon, will abandon and move our recordings to the kitchen table.
Yes.
On behalf of all the crime writers, thanks so much for listening. We will catch you later.
Partners in Crime Media.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie, and one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter, from plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find a pro for your project at Angie.com.